Good afternoon. My name is Brittany Degler. I'm a business analyst here at RPI. I'll be the host of today's webinar. Today we've got some members from Global Software, Bjorn Beer and Anna Sagan, here to talk about and demo their spreadsheet automation software that integrates with Lawson. Before we get started, I want to go over a few things so that everyone's aware. We have everyone placed on mute during the webinar, but if you have questions, please jot them down on the GoToWebinar questions box. And we'll make sure that we can answer some questions at the end of the presentation. If there is a question we're not able to respond to during the webinar, we'll make sure to follow up with you to get you an answer as soon as we can. And lastly, please take note that we will be sending out the recording of the presentation to everyone in attendance sometime in the coming week or next. And now that that's all been covered, I'm going to hand it over to Bjorn.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for setting this up, and the rest of the folks at RPI. We're going to be diving right into the demonstration of our Excel automation solutions. But first, I wanted to introduce in a little bit more detail my colleague, Anna Sagan, who's going to be giving the features and functionality overview of Spreadsheet Server. She comes from not just a demo background, but actually an implementation and training background. So she's worked with a number of our Lawson clients in getting this solution up and running in a number of industry verticals. So she's going to be a great resource on this call. Like Brittany said, feel free to jump in with questions. That having been said, why don't we just go ahead and go through a short PowerPoint presentation here. And I just wanted to kind of give you a general overview before we dive into the product. If you could just advance the slide there, Anna. Great. So just a little bit about Global Software. We are based at the Research Triangle Park in North Carolina, but we do have offices out in Seattle as well as in New York and London. So we're able to cover our help desk around the globe 24/7 wherever you are. We have over 5,000 customers in multiple industry verticals. Lawson is a very, very big space for us. We are a Microsoft partner as well, so we're always going to be one step ahead of your Microsoft version that you're on. Consider us a long-term part of your Excel automation strategy. So I won't dive into any of these statistics. All of you are on this call today because you probably use Excel very heavily. You're probably in there very frequently, or perhaps want to be using Excel more frequently because it's so easy to use. I don't need to tell you on the benefits of Excel, but what we're going to talk about is how we give you live data in Excel with full drill down to Lawson and even other data sources as well. So we're going to focus on the Lawson General Ledger here, but keep in mind we can go outside of the Lawson General Ledger and basically against any source data as long as it's in a relational database. We're just connecting the dots between Excel and your source data. You'll see just a snapshot of some of our Lawson clients here. And at the end of this call, we're going to flash my contact information here up on the screen. So feel free to talk to me about some clients who are using the solution in your neck of the woods and in your industry vertical. We have a number of clients here. I won't go through this in any detail, but on the next slide, you're going to see just a brief idea of what sort of time savings are involved with Spreadsheet Server. So here's just a brief example, and then we're going to dive into the presentation. Rush Copley Medical Center in Chicago, before they implemented Spreadsheet Server, their month-end process was taking about 2 days to create reports and maybe 4 to 5 hours to distribute these reports. It relied heavily upon IT as well. There's additional time they were using IT for that process. After a 1 to 2 day implementation on Spreadsheet Server, they were able to reduce their manual inputs by 85%. So what took them 2.5 days now takes them much less than 8 hours. So that's kind of the time savings we're talking about, probably more than that even, and that's going to vary from client to client, but we'll get into that in more depth. Just another brief example, ProMedica Health, they're using us to bring data from GL and non-GL sources. There's a case study from them on our website as well. We can have you look at that. But they use us for a number of non-general ledger areas, and they completely automated their reporting process in Excel, an environment they're very familiar with. So at this point, on the next screen here, we're going to have my contact information. Just note that in case you'd like to schedule a one-on-one follow-up demonstration where we can talk about your particular Excel automation needs. But we're going to focus on Spreadsheet Server for GL and non-GL areas, and then we're going to tie things up, wrap things up rather, with Distribution Manager, which is a utility that allows you to automate the distribution of reports from within Excel. So we are an Excel add-in. We install where Excel resides. So just think about how you use Excel today, and then imagine your Excel environment with live data. So, and if you just put my contact information on the next screen, and then we'll pass things over to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bjorn. And thank you all for being here today. We're going to walk through Spreadsheet Server and just go through some examples about, how and why folks like using Spreadsheet Server. So you all should be looking at my screen right now, which I've got just an Excel open with a workbook, and you're looking at this P&L here. And if you take a look up here at the top, you're going to see Spreadsheet Server. So what Spreadsheet Server is an add-in to Excel that gives you a live connection to your data. So it allows you to do everything that you could do in Excel today, but now there's live data there. So when needing updated information, updated balances, all you have to do is simply open up this Excel file, and these balances are going to refresh with the latest and greatest from Lawson. The other thing we allow you to do is it's a plug and play. So because these are just formulas in here and they're referencing, certain parameters, I can change those parameters right in Excel, and my data is going to update. So I can change my accounting units, or I can do a range of accounting units, months, change my year, whatever it is. And then I have, and it brings back those balances here for me. Now, putting together a report like this is just simply knowing how to copy and paste. So for any of you folks thinking, do I have to be a super Excel whiz person? Absolutely not. If you know how to copy and paste and you know your chart of accounts, you're already 80% of the way there for using Spreadsheet Server. It's a big reason why folks, who are more the user end of things versus the technical side of things, why this is so well adopted, because they're leveraging skills that they already have. So when I'm looking at my numbers, again, I can change parameters. Instead of having, 10 different tabs here for 10 different accounting units, I can just simply change that value here, and my data will update and reflect that change. Of course, at any time with Spreadsheet Server, I can drill down. So anytime I click on a balance and you see that formula up there, that means that that's a live balance. So I can immediately drill into that balance. And if you notice what it did here, it brought me back all of the details that sit behind that balance. So you can see, looking at actuals from year 2005, and there's the balance there. It's looking at this account range. And then looking at period 4. So you can see I can, sort through these details, ascending or descending, or if I want to group by company and then accounting unit. This gives me the ability to sort through those results to find the answer that I'm looking for, to find, reasons why certain things are the way they are. But I can also use criteria. So if I just wanted to come in here and search for a specific accounting unit, I can do that simply by just start typing it in there. At this point, I can go directly from here down to my journal level detail. And this is all out of the box with Spreadsheet Server. So everything you've seen so far is delivered to you when this add-in is installed. And to give you an idea of what that looks like, Spreadsheet Server installed in a couple hours. So you're not talking about a big, time resource for any of your folks in IT. This installs very quickly. We deliver to you these pre-configured formulas to the general ledger, which we're going to see here in a minute.
And then we also deliver the ability to drill down directly into the journal level detail. So especially for those folks that are involved in the month-end close, if you know that your journals, journals are being put into Lawson, I can drill down and immediately see those journals here. So again, it allows me a quick access, real-time access to the data so I can do that tactical analysis in my reporting. Of course, any of these drill downs, I can select them. I can export to Excel, PDF, create a new workbook, for auditing and reconciliation purposes, folks like that quite a bit. But it doesn't end there. So with Spreadsheet Server, we allow you to go really anywhere the data fits, anywhere within Lawson, and of course anywhere that sits on a relational type database. So if you've got data sitting maybe in a legacy system, or data in a Kronos environment or anything else, I can create a path to get there. Maybe some of you also have images saved somewhere. That is absolutely fine too. We can create a path to, let's say, an invoice image, or to contract images, or anything that's stored, as long as it's stored referenceable back to Lawson, I can create a path to get there. But you can see here, I could go, really anywhere. I can go all the way to the lowest level within Lawson, so it allows me to very quickly get to those transactional level detail and see it right here, but it's a very focused look as well. So I have full drill down capabilities. I'm just going to open this up so you can see exactly what that was looking at here. So you can see all this is doing is referencing cells to bring back that answer, which is that $11 million balance. I can slice and dice up the data, doing ranges of accounts, lists of accounts. If you, any folks using summary accounts in Lawson, absolutely, yes, you can leverage those. I can have each line item be a summary account. So again, I can split this up, slice and dice the data, and it is going to bring me back my answer here right in Excel. So let's pull in some data, because I think that gives you a nice idea of really how easy this is to use. So if we were starting from a blank sheet here, I'm just going to use my build a template. And then I'm going to start entering in accounting parameters. So I want to look at actuals. I want to look at data from, let's say, 2005. I want to look at monthly data, but of course, if I wanted to see quarterly, year-to-date, life-to-date, even ranges of months, I can do that as well. And I'm just going to choose the accounting period there. Now down here will be your account segments. So this will be specific to your environment. So for this example, I'm going to look at all companies, all accounting units, and I'm going to look at all accounts between 40,000 and 55,000. All right. Then I'm going to put everything on the column except for my accounts. If you take a look at these little buttons here, these also do a dynamic look into Lawson. It's going to bring back the values for all my accounts. So if I know maybe an account's been added, I can just do this quick look up here that's going to bring back, the results and the values associated with that. But let's bring that data in. So all I have to do is hit insert. I don't have to use that build a template again with this report. Now let's just copy and paste like I mentioned before. So I can copy and paste this down. Now I can slice and dice up this data. So if I wanted to look at, let's say, another range of accounts through, let's say, right? All I'm doing is changing the values and my data is going to update. So there's going to be revenues, cost of sales, but I can insert rows or columns, insert any rows here to break this up as well. I can also use what's called segment lists. So this would be a complement to any summary accounts that you have already set up within Lawson. But this can be set up for, accounting units, groups of accounting units, companies, sub-accounts, any of that can be easily created here and saved. And these lists can be locked up. They can be controlled and maintained in one place. So from a user perspective, I want to pull in other expenses. Well, I don't need to know that it's made up of these ranges of accounts with this exclusion. and another range sits at the bottom here. I don't have to type that in every time I want to bring in other expenses. I can just open up my segment list, insert that right into Excel, and it's going to reference those accounts for me and bring back the balance. This is also a nice way to, keep everyone on the same page, because if, let's say 5 or 6 of you had this as a line item in your report, if I need to add an account, I can come add it one place, and then the next time anyone opens up Excel that has that line item, it refreshes with the correct balance. But building out a report, I'm just using very basic Excel skills. So I'm just summing these numbers. I can put some formatting here. Now I want to look at this over time, so I can copy and paste over to the right. And now I want to look at, let's say, period 4, 5, and 6. So now those are broken up, and you saw those account balances update accordingly. But now I want to look at that data over time, or as a group. So I'm going to look at, let's say, quarter 2. Now I want to do some comparisons. So I want to look at quarter 1 and compare that. And now I can come in here, insert a column, put a basic variance here, nothing too crazy. And then I can copy this down. And now I have a variance set up there. And then maybe I want to look at a year-to-date from period 6. And then for any of you folks that have have any budget data in Lawson, that's fine too. So I could do a year-to-date from period 6 and just simply change this from A to B. Right? If I had budget data in there, that's where it would show up. So very easy, very quickly, getting to the data becomes the easy part. It empowers end users to be able to build the reports they want quickly, and to also be able to update them and not have to go back to IT every time they need a little change or update. This is looking at just these months here, but if I wanted to have a 6-month look at things, I could just insert more rows here and then change the values there, and I'm off and running. Another way to see the data too, let's say you had a summary account set up here, you had all, you had this set up, and maybe this was my revenues, but I want to see that broken out. So one thing a lot of our customers like is the ability to very quickly say, I want to see that in my report instead of drilling down. So I can do what's called expand GL row, and you'll see what it does here for me. It's going to break out all of the accounts between 40,000 and 55,000, and bring back the descriptions and the balances all within my report. So you can see I've got all the descriptions, all of the accounts. And then if you notice here, when I come down here and make my way through, when I click on that, you'll see that there is a formula there. So that means that I can, very quickly say, oh, this is what I'm looking for, drill down into this, and then I can keep going from there, even further into Lawson, as far as I need to go. But it just allows me to very quickly, very easily see all my data, see all my details, and stay within Excel. Now I just collapse that, and I'm back to where I was here. So bringing in data is just using our pre-configured formulas to the general ledger. Just using very easy things like copy and paste to build reports. Now that being said, if you have let's say you have a report now that you like and you're happy with, it's a static report, but you don't want to have to do this, all over again. So all I have to do here, I can actually just come in and insert our own formulas behind any balances and just bring that report to life. So I'm going to look at actuals again from 2005. And then this is looking at, let's say, this is a balance sheet, so we're looking at life-to-date data. And we'll just say, let's say, period 4 again. And we'll look at all accounts between 40,000 and, for this particular cash account, 40,000 and let's say 45,000. I'm going to put everything on the column except for my accounts and sub-accounts. And then instead of just hitting insert, I'm going to say shift worksheet data and then hit insert from there. So you can see it immediately brought me back a balance. So I can just come in here, easily convert this from a static report to a live report. So this is going to eliminate all the data dumps and reformatting in Excel and allow me to just focus on the analysis piece of my report. And then I can copy this to the right. And then I can change, company, all that across the top if I want to. But again, very quickly, very easily, within minutes, I can convert this report. And then forever going forward, it's live and dynamic. So whether I'm going after general ledger data or I'm going after data from multiple places. For example, here I've got data coming from 4 different environments. So I've got sales coming from SAP, I've got projects coming from Oracle, I've got AR coming from a Northwind database, and HR coming from PeopleSoft. So I can have all this data, marry it all in Excel, and just change parameters just like you saw me do before, and my data is going to update. But when I drill down, it drills back into that specific system. So I have instant access to all this data, and I'm still in Excel. Building this type of report, again, is just copy and paste and using all of Excel functionality. So whether or not, we're looking at, let's say, fixed asset information, and I want to be able to just do some quick analysis, I can update my dates and change my asset ID and put in a specific account. It's going to give me that total value, and then using one of our other formulas, it'll burst that detail out for me right into a table below. So fixed assets, HR information, revenue information, expenses, employees, payroll, whatever it is, we can go after it. As long as that data is sitting in a relational database, you can use Spreadsheet Server to get to that data, marry it in Excel, use Excel as your report writer, and then when needing that data, the latest and greatest, all I'm doing is opening up Excel. For Lawson, we mimic the security within Lawson for each user. So if I was trying to get to accounting unit 1000 and I didn't have access to that, the numbers, this would blank out on me. Okay. So it only gives me access to, what I have access to now within Lawson. I can also use our distribution piece as well. So with Distribution Manager, you can see it's housed right up here within my Spreadsheet Server ribbon. So the example we'll look at today is we'll say that we want to send this P&L report out. We want to send it out by accounting unit. But again, I don't want to have 10 different tabs for 10 different accounting units. I want to just have this one tab and be able to use Distribution Manager to slice it up for me. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to hit New Control Sheet. All this is doing is creating a new worksheet for me that's going to be my distribution list. Again, I only have to do this one time. So I set it up so I want to send it via email, but of course there's other options. I want to send it in Excel. This ties right in with my Outlook address book. So I want to, Bjorn's in charge of one of my accounting units, so I'm just finding his name. Let's say And then I can put some password protection around this. So if I was sending, instead of sending here, if I was sending it to a file location, and I wanted only Bjorn to be able to open or modify his own workbook, I could put a password on that and then give him that password so that only he can do that. Another thing I can do is add attachments. So if I have commentary or anything else associated with this report or what I'm sending, I can just put the path in there and it will pull it in each time. But here's where some of that modification takes place. So let me scoot this over so you can see what I'm doing. So I want to send that P&L report, and I want it to modify cell N10 for accounting unit 5,000. Now, if I had other reports in here, expense reports, trial balance, anything else that's associated with Bjorn and what I want him to receive, then I'm just simply choosing that worksheet, telling it which cell to update, and I can add it here to this list. I don't want to send Bjorn, nor do I think he wants to receive all the workbooks the worksheets in my workbook. So I'm just going to choose the specific worksheets I want him to get. And then from there, I need to determine, okay, is Bjorn a user of Spreadsheet Server? So if he's a user of Spreadsheet Server, meaning he has this add-in and live connection, and there's different types of users with different functionality, but if he has the add-in with live connection and he can drill down, I'm going to say no conversion. That means he's going to get an email. It's going to have one workbook with 2 tabs in it, and all he has to do is open it up, and it's going to refresh with the latest and greatest, and he can drill down and all that. But if he's not a user, he just needs to see his data. That is absolutely fine too. We're going to say convert global formulas to values, or even all formulas if you've got some of your own Excel formulas in there. Then all I have to do is hit recalculate before sending, and I just hit push. And you can see it just pushed it right out here within this distribution list. And then creating this list is I can use copy and paste. So then I can say, well, I want a copy of this to go to, a snapshot in time to go to a file location, and that can be in PDF. And then if I'm in charge of the next company, I'm just simply changing who it's going to. And let's say I am a user of Spreadsheet Server, and I'm in charge of accounting unit 6,000. I'm just changing these parameters right here in Excel. And when I'm ready to send this list out, it's just a touch of a button. I can open this up, hit distribute all or distribute selected. But if I want an even more automated way to do the distribution, I can use our profile scheduler, which is a part of Distribution Manager. So what this does is allows me to schedule a distribution. So I'm just picking a workbook and then just simply telling it when I want it sent out. So I'm picking a date and a time, and it will automatically send this list out for me. So from getting the data out of Excel, out of your ERP system, or really whatever database is holding your data, marrying it up in Excel, using our pre-configured formulas, whether you're going after the general ledger or going after data from outside of the general ledger, you can use Spreadsheet Server to get there. So it can automate the environment that you have today, and then going forward as your reporting needs are growing and changing and you need to do, something else, or management asks for a different view of the data, you know that you can use it using Spreadsheet Server. Or if you get a new system, you know that you can use Spreadsheet Server going forward even a year from now, as long as it's sitting in a relational type database. And then using the Distribution Manager, you can automate the sending out of reports. So you're spending less time doing copy-paste special and getting all those in email and saving and all of that. It just becomes something that is a touch of a button or scheduled for you, so that time is now freed up for other things. So I'm going to kick it back to Bjorn And he is going to, and then we'll take some questions, and then we'll go from there.
We actually don't have any questions just yet.
Okay.
So, yes, so if anyone does have questions, feel free to put them in the questions box.
Brittany, while we wait for any questions to come in, I just wanted to jump in and say one common question we get is about training and implementation for Spreadsheet Server. So I just want to go ahead and address that while we wait for questions. So on the general ledger side, we're talking about 1 to 2 days of training, and clients are totally operational, up and running with an automated Excel. End of day 1, they're going to be building reports, and we're going to install before we come on site. For non-general ledger areas, we're talking about an additional 3 days, but all in all, we even avoid the word implementation because it's really that easy. We can be automating your reports, practically within a couple of days, max a week. Any questions coming in?
We did get one question in. Can you build a report to look at intercompany balances for all corporations to make sure they are all in balance?
Yeah, as long as the data is sitting in Lawson, you can absolutely get to that data, and then you use Excel to do that analysis however you need it. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. It looks like you covered everything, Anna. Must have. Well, that's all we have today then. Go ahead, Bjorn, if you want to say
Yeah,
anything.
I was just going to say to everyone who's on today, thanks for joining, and please note my contact information. You can also reach out to the folks at RPI as well, but we work closely with them, and I'm happy to schedule a follow-up demonstration. We can dive a little bit deeper into your Excel automation needs. Maybe there's an area outside of General Ledger that you want to talk about, or maybe we want to talk about licensing models, things like that. So we typically will follow up, do follow-up demonstrations. So just let me know if I can help you with your Excel automation needs.
All right, we actually came up with one more question before we sign off. Does the software require a data cube to generate after work hours to draw data into Spreadsheet Server?
No, we connect directly to the tables within Lawson. So there's no additional hardware, there's no data cube, anything like that. It is a direct connect to Lawson and the tables within Lawson.
Great. All right. Thanks, Anna and Bjorn. That's all we have today, everyone. If there is a question that pops up later, like Bjorn said, feel free to contact Bjorn or Anna directly. RPI as well is available, and we'll get an answer for you as soon as we can. As a reminder, we do record the webinar, so I will be sending that out probably by the end of the week. Actually, maybe look for it in the beginning of next week, sometime around then. Otherwise, have a great afternoon, everyone, and thanks for attending.